or another. No, I will say none of the governments at the policy level or a legislative level have recognized the Sikh articles of faith. May that be turban, may that be kirpan. There have been some policy level changes in certain departments, for example, the police forces, and for example, in armed forces. But generally speaking, a Sikh can face the same discrimination if he or she goes into another city or another province to live. How you think these, when you talk about individual rights, and when we look at our own self, I will say I don't have all the rights which I need to be have as a Sikh and live anywhere in the country. How you think this can be addressed?
Well, it's interesting. I attended last November 11 for Remembrance Day. I attended the ceremonies up in Brampton. And I saw the young Army cadets marching in along with the veterans. And I saw a number of members of young Sikhs wearing turbans in that military group. And it actually made me extremely proud to be a Canadian, that we are accommodating all sorts of groups and different faiths. And, you know, now maybe to your point, the Toronto area is somewhat unique because we have 6.5 million people and we are the most multicultural region of the world, not just Canada, but we have an experiment going on in this city and in this region, in Peel and so on, that is absolutely unique, and it makes me very, very proud. And I mentioned it earlier in the show, my high school, 55 multicultural groups. We used to have a UNESCO night where everybody came together and we learned about each other's heritage and so on. But more importantly, in the day-to-day classroom, we learned about each other through English class, history class, geography, so on and so forth. So what we need to do, and we can never stop doing it, you never arrive at your final destination on this journey, is now in other parts of the country where, you know, we don't have as much multicultural reality. We just have to keep working with each new city, each new police force, each new community, and say, look, this actually works, and it's part of the great Canadian experiment.
But the problem or the issue at that level is, yes, we can work with all the different school boards, all the different police forces, all the city halls, but any minority community will not have resources to work with all of them. If we as a society say, well, yes, there is a Canadian Human Rights Commission and Canadian Human Rights Code and then Ontario Human Rights Commission, the Ontario Human Rights Code and so on and so forth in all the provinces, then I think it should be the onus on the government to take a proactive approach in protecting the rights of the freedom of the citizen.
Yes.
But I will say that is not happening, and I have seen that one-to-one level in the last 30 years happening in different cities, different provinces across this country.
Well, in that sense, you have a very good point. The federal government has to ensure that there are common principles and common rules across the country so that your community members, all sorts of other communities and their members feel very comfortable moving from region to region, city to city. You're absolutely right. And if we can, you know, as a federal government, achieve the solutions more quickly, well, that just saves everybody a lot of time and heartache. No, I would agree with you. And
right.
I'd be very interested to hear from you over the next weeks and months. As you see those examples, you know, do let me know. But I've seen, you know, Sikhs in the RCMP wearing turbans, and they make me very, very proud to be a Canadian.
Okay, the last issue which I want to sort of bring out and see what your reaction to that is, in many communities and in many countries where we do trades and there is a concern of human rights violations, and then we do trade with those countries, and the most prominent example which we find is of China.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it is the same situation, maybe not of that prominence in other parts of the world as well. For example, from the Sikh perspective, I will say we have an issue with the Indian government with respect to invading the Golden Temple in '84 and whatever has happened since then. So how are you going to balance human rights abuses or minority rights throughout the world versus the trade which we do with those countries?
Yeah, so I think the federal government needs to act on two parallel tracks in virtually all these sorts of areas. And there's many areas in the world like this, as you might expect with a highly multicultural Canada. So we can't ignore trade, we can't ignore exports and imports, and I think that's actually very, very important. But at the same time, Canada has to use its full capabilities when called on and when it's appropriate to help different regions and different parts of the world get to a better place in terms of, whatever conflict is going on. So for instance, on a couple of the ones that you just mentioned, we need to trade with China, absolutely. It's a very important trading country. But, we have to also work with groups in this country as well as in China to say, look, let's have a dialogue about human rights, but we have to do it in a way that both are accommodated.
Okay, we are sort of running out of time now. Anything else you want to say on any of the issues? I have more issues here, but then we
Yes.
need another hour to discuss it.
Well, you'll have to have me back next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Digital Bill of Rights, I see here, very
Yes.
unique terminology in itself.
Yes.
So
yes.
maybe some other time, as you said.
Sure.
But anything else you want to
Well,
say or add in?
I just wanted to reinforce with your listeners that this leadership race is unique. It's very democratic. If you go to George Takach, so GeorgeTakach.ca, you can sign up as a supporter and you can vote for me. You don't have to be a member of the Liberal Party. It's a very interesting and open and democratic race. So if you've liked what you've heard here this morning, I would encourage your listeners to do that.
So just to confirm it again, you don't need to be the member of the party to vote?
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely free. You just have to sign up and say, I want to participate in the election of the next leader. And again, it's georgetakach.ca, and there's a big button that says Vote for George, and you can do it all over the internet. You don't have to go anywhere in April to a convention or anything like that. It's all done over the internet. It's all very, very new and very, very, very democratic.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's see that there's going to be a convention in April. So what we will see of George after that?
Oh, I hope to come back and keep talking with you. I like the hospitality and I like the discussion topics.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to talking to you again in near future on all these issues which are very, very close to our community, and it affects not only our community, but I will say the whole population of Canada.
No, absolutely, because as I said earlier, we have to be the best country in the world for accommodating all these sorts of issues. So thank you for having me.
Thank
you very much, George. Have a good day.
Thank you.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵੌਇਸ ਆਫ ਸਿੱਖਸ